Good morning, KWJC City. It's Carmine Simmons here. As promised, Monday, close to 11 o'clock. Hope you guys are all well, and thank you for joining me. I hope you're joining me from somewhere. Today, we're going to talk about the second quarter market statistics that were published last week. And I was hoping to have a live audience so that I could take your questions. And otherwise, I'm just going to go through a couple of things that I think are interesting about this batch of data. And again, if you have questions, either type them in if you're online or shoot me an email and let me know what your questions are. So not a lot of changes going on between the first quarter and second quarter. One thing that we talked about at our last meeting in April was focusing on the months of supply. As you can see here on the first sheet, I'm in West Bergen, market statistics. So you can see market supply, second quarter 2021, 2.8 months of supply. For two families, we have 2.6 months of supply. For condos, we have 2.2 months of supply. That is an incredibly low number for months of supply. Just to rehearse what we talked about back in April, the standard knowledge is that a balanced market happens when we have about 6 months of supply. Balanced market means balance between sellers and buyers, and everybody's basically getting what they want without huge increases in prices or huge drops in prices. That happens at about 6 months worth of supply. As you can see, we are very much situated in a firm seller's market. Below 6 months of inventory, we're in a seller's market, and above 6 months of inventory, we're in a buyer's market, sort of increasingly as those numbers recede toward the edges. So again, we are firmly in a seller's market. And this is, again, the message that we want to keep pushing out to people who either have not been following the market and perhaps don't know how much their home is worth, or people who have been sitting on the fence. And that's really the crowd that we need to reach out to the most right now. People who maybe don't know how much their property is worth, don't understand the dynamics of the market, and maybe need to see something in writing on a piece of paper that shows what's going on with the inventory. Moving up a little bit, we'll talk about average sale price to listing price. This means how much are sellers actually getting in contracts for the properties that they're listing. I want to bring your attention to this column here, the second column over. First quarter of 2021, we were at 102.1% of sale price to listing price, right? We were 2.1% over asking price on average in the first quarter of 21. And that has come down just a little bit, but still certainly a very healthy market, 99.8% of asking price. Again, a really good number to talk about with your sellers. Now, going up, we'll just shoot down the list after I've highlighted those and show you what's here. We have two categories for each property type. We have sold and active. Sold gives us information on properties that have actually closed. In second quarter, again, we are in the West Bergen market overview. For the second quarter 2021, we had 12 units that actually sold. That is, they went under contract and they closed. Average sale price for 25,333, which is a slight decrease from the quarter before that, but obviously a huge increase from the year before that. Of course, last year, second quarter, which was April, May, and June, we were going through a pretty rough time, not just in the real estate market. So it's no surprise that current numbers are up over 20% from last year. And we just see a little wobbling here on this number from quarter over quarter. I think that's something to sort of keep your eye on and pay attention to. Just a reminder again, when we were talking in April, one of the things I was trying to emphasize, I hope you guys took to heart, is that in any one market data, so right now we're in the second quarter data, you can make some assumptions from it. You can make inferences from it, right? You could pull data discreetly and say, okay, average sale price is starting to go down. Maybe we need to talk about this and let our potential sellers know. I think that is correct. I think it's a smart way to proceed, but you can only really know something like averages and statistics sort of 6 to 9 to 12 months away from where you're at. So in the moment, it looks like, yes, prices have decreased 6.8%. I don't want to imply that that number is not real. It is a real number. But the question is, does this decrease of 6.8% in one quarter necessarily indicate that prices are dropping? And that's where I would sort of caution you to be careful with throwing numbers around loosely. I think you want to present these in the context of this quarter and in the context of the quarter that came before it and the year that came before it. We have all of that information on the page. What you maybe can't do is just to say, oh, market's falling at 6.8%. You really need to get something done now. This is a moment in time. It's a spot in time. It's one spot in time. Oh, sorry about that. My system is clean. That's a good thing. So if it's 6.8% at this moment in time, that doesn't necessarily mean we can project that that's where the market is headed right now. There are lots of reasons, for instance, during one particular quarter why numbers could be down, and it doesn't necessarily represent that they're on a downward spiral or even a decline, right? They could just be one moment, little wobbly numbers, and we'll see what's going to happen in the next market report. I hope that's clear to you, and if not, again, ask me any questions. I'm happy to answer. So let's continue going down the line. In West Bergen, second quarter 2021, we had 12 units that sold. Our average sale price. Look at our days on the market. We went from 16 days on the market in the first quarter of 2021, and now second quarter of 2021, we've got 46. What does that mean? Well, on the face of it, it means that properties are taking longer to go into contract in the second quarter than they were in the first quarter. Again, this is sort of where I want you to be careful about pulling out numbers without looking kind of at the longer term and seeing what else is going on around it. So from quarter to quarter, first quarter to second quarter, yeah, it looks like properties are taking a lot longer to sell. But compared to the second quarter of 2021, no, it's actually just about flat. It's about the same number. So there may be some particulars if we drill down into the data that would help us explain the 16 days. Maybe the market got really excited in that second quarter and properties were going very, very quickly as soon as they came on the market. But again, looking at what came before and what came after, the 16 number seems like an outlier. In other words, an outlier is data that we can certainly consider, but maybe not put too much heavy emphasis on it. We need to look at the quarter that came before, which would be, 2 quarters before, and then we'll need to see what happens after this. We already talked about sale price to list price. Again, how much of the asking price are sellers getting for their properties, right? We're talking about averages here. So on average, in the first quarter of 2021, sellers are getting over asking price by about 2.1% more on average. Last quarter, second quarter 2021, came down 2.4%. Sellers were getting about 99.8% of asking price. Now, remember, I think what we're seeing a lot in this market, personal experience, is aspirational pricing, which means that I think sellers and, of course, their agents can help them with this. Sellers are maybe overpricing their properties and trying to push buyers as much as possible, which is completely fair and makes perfect sense. What happens, though, of course, is that the pricing needs to be in line with what's gone under contract and what's sold very recently. So nothing wrong with aspirational pricing as long as it's within a realm of what the buying public is actually willing to pay for that. So I think smarter pricing leads to numbers that are more in line with sort of what's going on actually with the supply and demand in this market. And I have to say, the second quarter was kind of a little strange quarter. We had April, which was gangbusters, May, which was sort of oddly quiet, a little bit into June, and then things really picked up. So we did see, maybe, and again, you could attribute this to all sorts of things, right? People were getting vaccinated, people were getting out of their houses. They maybe weren't necessarily interested in going into other people's houses and start looking for properties or whatever. So I think the market was distracted a little bit by a little bit more freedom that we've had in the past couple of months. And certainly we started to see that in the second quarter. What's happening in the third quarter? Well, no, third quarter is July, August, April, May, June, July, August, and September. We'll know in October whether these numbers are going to hold or whether we'll see a continuing drop in sale price to list price. Again, even when you see that drop, the question becomes what could be causing that drop. So again, back to one families in Bergen Lafayette or West Bergen. And then moving into our active inventory. So, and again, this is for the quarter, not for any particular month, right? So the second quarter, we saw 25 new listings. Look how interesting this is. Now, this is something we might be able to make something out of, right? Second quarter 2021, we had 25 listings. First quarter 2021, we had 11 listings. Second quarter 2020, we had 14 listings. Now, just between these two numbers, the 11 and the 14, that implies that we're kind of in a new area with the number of listings coming to market. Again, I'm cautioning you, this is one quarter. We can't base too much on the one quarter, but it'll be interesting to watch this number to see what happens next quarter. And if that number continues to rise and we continue to see more inventory come to market, we may then actually see our months of supply start to get higher, right? Because more inventory, assuming there's no more buyers, right? If you have the same number of inventory, more buyers, then you've got certainly a more entrenched seller's market. But if you have more inventory and the same number of buyers, what you might start seeing is that the months of supply actually starts to increase. Because that and those listings will just sit a little bit longer. Any questions on that? Notice that the months of supply from 3.8 in the second quarter 20, again, it was a weird quarter. We had a lot going on second quarter last year, but certainly those numbers have gotten better from the seller perspective year over year. Any questions on this one? Anything at all? No? Okay. So the couple of things I did want to explain here, I'm on the Jersey City downtown stats, and I'm in the one family. I just want to explain this NA down here because it might seem a little odd at first. So months of supply, this quarter we have 3.1 for the second quarter, 4.2. So a decrease in months of supply usually indicates usually a more active market. But here we have NA for the second quarter 2020. And I just want to explain that NA comes from this number right here at the top of the column, which is 0. There were no one family properties that closed, 0, that closed in the second quarter 2020. And you can't divide something by a 0. So this number actually just is a filler. It's really a nil. Or an invalid number here. So nothing sells. We can't come up with how many months of supply there are because we don't really know if nothing is selling. And again, if you need more information on that, certainly let me know. What else can I show you here? See something that might be interesting. I think there is only, I was looking at this over the weekend, I think there is only one aspect of this market, And again, I'm going to caution you one more time, right? You can't pull too much from just one tiny piece of data. But I'm going to, in one instance, give you 1 minute. Oh, here's what I wanted to point out to you. I'm on the Hoboken market stats, second quarter. And if we come down to Hoboken 2 families, right? What do we see here for months of supply? 6. That means that, and again, I'm sorry I didn't go through this before, but let me just explain this, right? That means that if you have a total inventory of 12 units, as we do here, and if we had 12 units available and 2 units that sold during the quarter, actually closed during that quarter, 12 divided by 2 leaves you with 6 months of inventory. In other words, if all of these 12 listings were only selling 2 at a time, 2 per month, it would take 6 months to absorb that inventory. Months of supply has to do with absorption. How fast is the buying market absorbing the inventory we're providing for them? And in this one case, and this is the only place you're going to see it on this quarter stats, we have a 6 months, which, as I mentioned to you earlier, we consider to be a balanced market, balance between the number of properties that are out there and the number of buyers that actually want those properties. But again, look how it was 3.8 the quarter before that, and it was 3 the quarter before that. So this number, again, seems to me to be an outlier. It's a real number, it's hard data, but what does it actually mean when we're trying to project or explain to our clients what's going on in this market? And when you have statistics that are only based on a set of 2 or 4 or 3, again, it's valid data, it's real data. It's not like these numbers are made up, but how much can you extrapolate from them? I'm not quite sure from one discrete column there that we can now say, oh, Hoboken 2 families have really moved over now into a balanced market or toward a buyer's market. Not sure you can say that yet, but maybe when we check the stats next quarter, we'll have more evidence of what's going on. And I'll say it again, maybe a different way. Real estate trends are not understood by one quarter alone. No trend is ever understood by one quarter alone, right? A trend is understood by looking at quarter over quarter over quarter and noticing slight increases, slight flattening, but generally what you're looking at is the data pointing in this direction or is the data pointing in that direction? And it could only be just tiny, tiny little bits. And that's why it takes such a long amount of time to sort of understand which way the market is going. And we have all of these historical sets of market data that are available to you on the intranet. If you need help finding that, I can certainly help you. But when you actually sort of look at what was going on 18 months ago, what was going on a year ago, what was going on 6 months ago, then you start to understand sort of the general trend of the market. Of course, crazy things can happen while we're trying to understand a trend, such as a pandemic, right? Which definitely disrupted whatever trend was happening. And we could have noticed at the beginning of 2020, which was, the market was on fire in early 2020. That got disrupted by a pandemic. And now we're trying to see, like, where are we post-pandemic and where is the market heading us? Yeah. And can I also suggest that you use this data in conjunction with maybe some other research that you're doing, maybe NAR, National Association of Realtors, monthly research. You sort of match what's going on here with maybe what's going on in the national level. And I guess what I'm saying is maybe it's probably better to use more than one source of data when you're trying to understand what trends are going on. There's a national trend, right? There's a state trends, and then there's a very hyper local trend, county trends, Jersey City trends, and then of course within Jersey City, different districts. And they could all be doing slightly different things. Anyway, I don't want to get too wonky with it. I want you to use the data. I think it's very valuable data. And I think it's useful to have conversations in the moment. What's going on right now? And then again, you can extrapolate from this data what's going on after, I'm sorry, what happened before us and what might happen in the next several months. And again, we're hearing little buzzes, right? Interest rates may be going up a little bit. Might be some wobbling in the market later this year, early next year. You have to sort of put everything together, I think, including these market stats, draw a very local picture for your buyers and sellers. All right, I'm not sure I have anything else to contribute to this, but there certainly is a lot of numbers on this page. So if you have questions, please let me know.
Carmen?
Hey, Lisa.
Thank
How are
you.
you, Ally?
Thank you. I remember seeing some emails once in a while. I think it was from NAR. They also will send out like a quarterly report, right?
Yes, so they do send them out to sort of the whole membership, but you can access that stuff anytime you want at the Realtor it's not Realtor, it's Realtor.org. The back end for agents is Realtor.org. Yeah, you could. They have a great research section on that website. There's all sorts of good stuff there. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anything else I can help you with? I do want to bring up one point. We talked in April about putting together something that looks more like a chart, either a bar chart or a graph chart or a line chart or something like that. And we have actually sought out and are working now with somebody who I think is a real expert in putting graphs together. Now, it might seem like this is sort of an easy thing. I'll just convert it from lines and a box to a graph. It's actually really difficult because we're working with different types of data. Here we're looking at, for instance, a number. Here we're looking at dollars. Here we're looking at percentages. And it's not easy to get all of those three types of benchmark data on one form in a nice, easy to understand format. So we're working with somebody who actually knows this stuff really well and knows how to put data and statistics together. And my goal and my hope, Patricia also, is that by September, the next time we have this meeting, we're actually going to have, I'm hoping more than a prototype, but actually a finished product for you to consider. And then what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to take a look at it. Does this help you? If this doesn't exactly help you, what format would help you better? So we definitely need your feedback once we get this out to you, but that is in the works, and I hope to have that stuff ready for you, or expect to have it ready for you the next time we do this in October. Yeah. Great. I think it'll just be a little bit more user friendly. I like seeing this data on here, and again, I think though that the challenge, to sort of hand that, which I hope you're not, hand that to a customer and say, oh, here's the data, right? You really need a little bit sort of backstory to it. And I think the graphs are just a lot more visually friendly. So we're working on it, and I hope this will be ready for you in October. Yeah. Other questions? Anything?
Thank you, Carmine. I have one question. Where do we find this again? Is it on the internet?
It's on the intranet. Yeah, mykw.com. Yeah, mykw.com, Market Center, and then Market Center documents.
Okay,
and you'll see a folder with all of these in
with
it.
everything. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions?
It's also in the Facebook group.
Oh.
Okay. There you go. Thank you, Ally. Any other questions? Anything else I can help you with? How's your business? How's everything going? You guys working hard? Anything I can help you with on that front?
I'm getting a lot of rental listings all at the same time.
And what do you think that means?
I think the school semester, people are coming and going, switching back in. I mean, a lot of renters are coming back for sure with the hybrid work schedule. Why else other rental listings are coming out? I don't know. I think people are going to have to make a decision if they want to stay in Hudson County or not. Maybe they don't have to go back to the office, so they're leaving.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting point. I mean, I think a lot of things are yet to get shaken out in the rental market. I think things have gotten probably a little bit better, but there's some real hard times still going on in the rental market for a lot of landlords at this point. And I'm not even talking about sort of the whole, folks who haven't paid their rent in, many, many months, which I know that's happening. But just even, for vacancies and the decreases in the amounts that you were able to get rent pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, those have dropped significantly. So I think you're right, Lisa, Ella. We've seen a lot of, I think, renters kind of coming back, or a little bit more sort of migration happening, I think, coming back to Hudson County. Maybe it's just become such a deal now that it's an offer people can't refuse, because the prices have come down.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody else want to tell me what's going on in your business? How I can help you?
Yesterday, I got a lead for a commercial sale, which I've never done commercial. So I know it's really tough. So I'm going to meet the person tomorrow. And I have no idea how commercial is done. So I'll probably need some help.
Can we talk?
Yeah.
Can we talk offline for a few minutes when we get done, and I'll point you in the right direction? Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Anything I can help you with? Any questions on the stats? Anything else? No. It's been wonderful. Thanks, guys, for being so